Hey guys, welcome to my playthrough of Alien vs Predator Extinction. This is a small RTS game that was released for the PS2 and the Xbox back in 2003. It's quite a strange game in that it was a real-time strategy game with aliens and predators, but not only that, it was released on the Xbox and PS2, no PC release. Yeah, very strange. What's also strange is this game has no multiplayer of any kind, and it has no skirmish mode. It's basically 21 fairly small single-player missions. When it was released, it was received fairly mediocre, like in a mediocre fashion. Not a lot of critics actually loved it. It was like average. But, you know, even with that said, it's a lot of people's favorite game, and it's mine as well. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I don't know why. I just really like it. So, but you know, I'm sure everyone that's watching this is, you know, they've played it before. But I'll treat the viewer as if they've never actually played this game before. It's just easier to commentate that way, I suppose. So I'll just go through the menu very quickly. We have Start Campaign. You get 3 campaigns for each race. Or sorry, 1 campaign per race, so that's 3 altogether. You have tutorials like Basic, Advanced, Marine, Predator, Alien. It's actually very informative for a real-time strategy game on the console. Options, audio, controls, very, very simple stuff. And then we have a difficulty setting here. So I'd like to put it in hard, but you know, it doesn't really describe the difference. I honestly, I don't think it has any effect on the amount of spawning that happens in the game. But we'll put it on hard anyway just to see how it is. I'm pretty sure it just affects your damage and the defense of your units. And then you have this kind of like codex or like database of all the units in the game, and it tells you fairly in-depth information about them. I'll probably show that off in another video. But like it's actually like fairly in-depth info considering that it's a you know, single player real-time strategy game. So we're going to start off with the Marine campaign. The Marines are like the jack of all trades, kind of master of none race. Like, they're not as strong as the Predators, but they're not as weak as the aliens. They're not quite as numerous as the aliens, but they're not as few as the Predators, that sort of thing. So as you can see on the screen here, it tells you the story of the game, or you know, just your objective of the mission. Gives you, like, most of the time just tells you the objective of your mission, gives you a bit of background on what's happening in the story. Basically, we're Bravo Squad, and we're on the US CSS Esmeralda, and it's loaded with migrant miners in support of Whale-Yutani's mining project on LV-742. Basically, there's been reports of, you know, vicious attack in the west of this sector, and we have to investigate as Marines. And because this is AVP, it was obviously not like a wildlife attack.
Miners have reported a vicious attack near a pipe assembly in your sector. There are conflicting reports of the incident, but the common story is that somebody went berserk and slaughtered a number of people. Your orders are to patrol the pipe assembly and investigate. Its location is marked on your map. Surveys also indicate there are malfunctioning atmosphere processors in the sector. Locate them and enlist a comtech to repair them. During the mission, updates to your orders will appear in the pause menu, which may be accessed at any time by pressing the start button.
Okay, so this is our viewing screen. You hold down X to, you know, select a group of units, or you just tap it to select the singular. There you go, you know everything about this game. Congratulations. In all seriousness though, your objectives are marked with the yellow square, as such, seen on the left there in the mini-map. And if you press R1, now you see the reason I'm kind of hesitating on saying the buttons is because I'm using an Xbox One controller right now. so that makes things a bit more complicated. But you know, the Xbox One, it actually works really well with the emulator that I'm using. So we're just gonna wait for these troops to come, and then we'll head to the objective to the left. One of the weird things about this game is they can actually, or this mission, excuse me, is they can actually shoot these miners, like as Marines. They come up as you know, not hostile necessarily, but like you can actually shoot them as if they're hostile, which is weird. That either means that like we're shooting them because they might be infected with like an alien embryo or something, or maybe we're just assholes and we don't want to leave any survivors, any witnesses to the alien outbreak.
Yes. Understood.
Okay, let's go. So, the guy in the blue jumpsuit, as some of you may have already guessed, is the synthetic. This guy is... He's the only Marine with a motion tracker. You may be able to see now in a second. Blips will... Yeah, there you go. As you can see, blips are popping up in the fog of war. And that's like this game's representation of the motion tracker. And that guy get fucked up. That's the game's representation of the motion tracker. It's not like, I'm gonna be honest, it's not very useful to have that motion tracker, although if you're like kind of new to the game, it does give you, like, it does tell you if there's a big force waiting to kill all your Marines, which I suppose is somewhat useful. Another thing is, I believe, besides the Brawler, they are the Brawler and the Runner, they are the fastest unit in the game. Oh, and get used to this, your contacts will always straggle behind the rest of your Marines. But yeah, he's also the fastest unit in the game. He can also, he's also the only Marine unit that can pick up sentry guns, which are, you know, as we see in Aliens, these heavy gun emplacements that will absolutely shred aliens to pieces. This is the atmosphere processor. Yes, it's very underwhelming compared to the aliens one we see. This one is absolutely tiny. I believe it's just like, you know, a gameplay thing. It's just a miniature version just for gameplay. I don't believe it's like some sort of new like technology that Weyland-Yutani or like the USCM invented, where they can make these ginormous atmosphere processors that we see in Aliens. Basically miniature. But yeah, he's useful for picking up the gun emplacements, but I think primary use realistically is to detect predators and also to lure enemies into your group of Marines. If you know this game well enough and you know that there's a huge, absolutely huge group of enemies ahead, you could use the synthetic to run ahead, lure them, get them to attack your synthetic, and then lure them towards your line of Marines. This is actually very effective because the enemies are only focused on the synthetic, and they'll like ignore, at least for the first second or two, your Marines. A bit cheap, but yeah, it's tactics. His weapon that he currently has right now is a pistol. I believe it's like an M9 or something, I'm not sure, but why does it matter? Like, every pistol's pretty weak in video games, right? Okay, so we got to the pipeline. As you can see, there's no survivors. Most of them seem to be missing their head. Oh, just this guy. Oh, and this guy. This guy doesn't have a head either. How tragic. So we got new orders. So you can always check your objectives by pressing the start button. For example, secure a landing pad. Prepare the southern miners' camp for repopulation. Secure the area and patrol around the landing pad is marked on the map. And then our other objective is repair 3 atmosphere processors. Use a contact to repair them. That's fairly simple. So here's our other atmosphere processor here. There's actually like a fairly decent chunk of Marines on this level. Fairly decent chunk of Marines. A fairly decent chunk of aliens on this level. Excuse me. We'll just order this squad of Marines, then we'll move out. But yeah, for a first level, like it's honestly one of the easiest in the entire game. I mean, I believe every kind of level in this game is fairly easy-ish, except the 6th and maybe the 7th mission of the Marine campaign. But this one is by far one of the easiest. You basically, like, there's no real strategy to it. Roger that.
Reporting in. Reporting in. Reporting in. Copy that.
Okay.
Reporting in. Copy that.
Let's just move down here. The infantry is your run-of-the-mill grunt of the Colonial Marines. He's equipped with a pulse rifle. When he's upgraded, he actually gets an underslung grenade barrel and armor. I believe he can pierce. I believe he has more penetrating power as well with his actual pulse rifle rounds. But yeah, this guy's great. He has 300 health. He has medium kinetic armor or something like that, like, when he's upgraded, so he can tank like a few hits. Basically, he's just generally really good at he's generally just really good at killing, you know, anything. There's no unit he's like fairly weak against, and with his grenade launcher, that just makes him even better. You will always have a few of these guys with you, no matter where you are. Oh, there's another processor.
Standing by. Roger that. Standing by. Reporting in. Copy that. Reporting in.
One thing that has to be said is the pathfinding in this game is a bit terrible. The Marines are by far the worst. If there's any kind of tight corridors or objects in the way, they will just go this absurd route instead of just, you know, taking the logical path, which is really weird. Oh no, my medic, he got hit in the back. Let's repair him.
Understood.
Okay, maybe this was stupid. Run, synthetic, run! Oh no, he got killed. We didn't need him anyway. As you can see here, we have the Marine death squad. But yeah, like the infantry guy, like he's just good against everything, but he's like not super good against anything. Like he's a jack of all trades kind of unit. Okay, this is where like the pathfinding gets really bad. Because look at how tight that corridor is. We'll use this guy to guard outside in case any unwanted visitors come, which won't happen. And here's the landing pad. Okay, so we completed that mission. And here's the screen where you can see like your, basically like an overview of your performance, your opponent, and your objectives. So mission succeeded. There was no optional objective, so not applicable. And target time of 15 minutes was also succeeded. Our mission time is 9 minutes. You can also see things like credits earned, spent, units created, enemies killed, which is weird because like it's kind of like it's not very relevant for your to see your opponents. But hey,